You're loud enough.
Yeah, didn't even know to put the microphone in front of up to my mouth. So, welcome to our meeting. This is our first meeting of with this. My first meeting, so I'm gonna screw up. I know I'm going to do it. Okay. But first, I want to excuse Mark Hurd. Mark is at a planning and zoning committee meeting for Hyde Park City. He's on the Hyde Park City Council, and so he is. So his obligations are there tonight. So appreciate everybody coming tonight. And we want to try to move through this as quickly as we can, so we'll get going. And then we'll have Lad's going to give us our prayer, and then we'll have Seth. Where to go? There he is. Will lead us in our pledge. Now you can just stand over there and whatever we want.
Our Father in heaven, we thank you for here tonight, surrounded by friends and neighbors and acquaintances, and we're thankful for the opportunity that we have to serve in our various capacities. Ask that be with us in all that we do. Ask that be with our members of the armed services and their families, and say this in Jesus Christ.
Amen. All right. Proper salutation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you both. I'm only even standing right here because the computer's here. I'm going to drive the meeting with what we got going on tonight. But first, I want to say this as a just kind of put this out there. You know, I know a lot of us here. There's some rumblings and there's some controversy within the party on the state level. Some of us were firsthand witnesses to that a couple Saturdays ago down in Linden. And so it is what it is. My philosophy will not change. We have people on the left that are in the party with people on the right. And but that doesn't alienate anyone, in my mind or my opinion. On election night, I got up there and I said that we need to get everyone involved and we're going to give everyone a voice, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to be as transparent as we can be with our meetings and with what we've got going on and what we're doing. Tonight, our focus is going through this, so we'll kind of run through the agenda real quick. And let me just add this really fast. We all have our passions about one side or the other. We all have our moments, if you will, and those are good things. But the one thing that I would ask, and I don't foresee it ever being a problem here in this meeting, in this committee, or even in a central committee, but that we keep decorum, that we be respectful of others, and that we throw personalities out the window when we're doing this. We're here. We've been elected to do this for a reason. We've been elected by the members of the Central Committee to be here and to serve and represent the Republican Party in Cache County, and that's my only intent, is to serve the Republican Party of Cache County, and I hope that that's what we can all do together. So with that, we'll just jump right in and move through to approve the agenda. We've got, does anybody have any objections to what we've got up there, or need to make a motion, want to make a motion to change anything, or are you good with what it's not like super detailed right now, but I do know that we did want to, anybody have anything they want to throw up there that you haven't seen?
I don't know that I need to throw anything up there, but you did ask me if I wanted to present anything about the Freedom of Association committee that was appointed at the State Central Committee meeting.
Right.
And that's not on the agenda that I can see. I don't know where you want that to fit.
Yeah, so that wasn't on there. The agenda came out before we had that conversation. So what Lane's asking about, so at the SEC meeting, we passed a resolution, the SEC did, to allow the Freedom of Association initiative to be presented at caucus night. That's the opposite end to count my vote. And we also voted, anybody correct me if I'm wrong on this, but we also voted they are allowed to gather signatures at caucus night for their initiative. That was the vote of the majority vote of the
I
SEC.
have this, I don't know if the copy of this did, the actual resolution was passed.
Mhm.
Should we include that under the caucus night
Yeah,
item?
so we can probably throw that down
Or just as part of that item?
under here. I'm gonna have to jump down. I don't know how to operate this thing. Oh, hi Lindsay, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. We've already jumped in and started, so I apologize. Let's see. Okay. So, I guess I probably should have made a motion to do that, right? Just to- I mean,
Or
we're
ask
pretty-
for a motion.
Yeah, so,
Or I'm not a committee member, so I can say it.
is there a motion to approve the, or,
I will ask for a motion to approve Lane back into the caucus night. on
Okay.
Thursday.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second, all right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nay, any opposed? Nope, good. Okay, motion passes. Again, I'm a rookie at this. We can figure it out. So I'm not big time. I drive meetings all the time at work, but I'm not big time in the formal stuff. I'm a project manager.
We're not going to eat you alive.
What's that?
We're not going to eat you alive.
Good, I appreciate that, because man, alive they ate some, I thought they were going to eat poor Dale alive. Where's Dale? Dale's supposed to be here too. I thought they were going to eat poor Dale alive, a couple weeks ago. So, you do the best you could. All right, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Also motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second? All in favor of approving the agenda?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Good, moving along. Awesome. All right. First thing I want to bring up is I was reminded of it, or actually made aware of this right away, right after I got elected. The other night is that we have to have a ledge co-chair take my place. And so that ledge co-chair, or the individual that I am going to appoint, or would like to appoint with the advice and consent of the executive committee, is this gentleman right here. Now he's not dressed up like this tonight, but this is Matt Anderson, and I'm going to just ask Matt if he can come up here and just kind of introduce himself a little bit. I'll leave his bio up there. You guys can read that. Matt, if you come up and talk for just a second.
Hi everyone, my name is Matt Anderson. I grew up in Bountiful, Utah. My family's either from Bountiful or Ogden. I grew up ranching with my grandfather just west of Ogden, in far west and west Ogden area. I came up here for school in 2007. I was here for a year, went on an LDS mission, came back, and I was here all the way up until the spring of 2016, where I graduated with my master's degree. I just moved down to Salt Lake, North Salt Lake actually, to work for the Sutherland Institute. I got them to let me move up here. I do a little bit of bribing to get them to move back up to Cache Valley, God's country, and get back up here. And so now I live just east of the North Walmart in Devonshire. I'm glad to be back and really excited to get involved with the party.
So you still work for Sutherland?
I do, yep. I work from home, so I end up going down about once a week, a little more often during the session, but I do all of their public lands and natural resource policy. So if you've been following the Bears years today, we've been heavily involved in working on that.
So per our bylaws, this appointment is a temporary appointment until until county convention or until we hold another central committee meeting. I don't anticipate holding a central committee meeting unless we see a need to prior to convention. Because we have so much going on with caucus and everything else, and we have caucus on March 20th, and then county convention is April 14th. So we're, I don't want to drag people around a lot with that. So with that, as per those rules, welcome Dale. As per those rules, I would like to, did anybody have any questions for Matt or anything that he would like to ask him?
Which high school?
I went to Bountiful High. I'm brave.
All right.
He's good.
I'm feeling
then?
pretty good. I'm feeling good now. Okay.
So you're a Bountiful Brave, right?
With the shirt, I thought you might be a Beaumont guy.
No, we don't associate with them. I couldn't growing up.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Why do you want to be a part of this body?
Well, I've been involved with the Republican Party ever since I was little. My dad was a precinct chair growing up, and I just remember going around and helping to do a variety of things, put out signs for candidates and participate in parades. And I've been involved as a precinct chair down there, and I just really want to take it a step further and help out up here. I believe in the people of Cache Valley. I believe that we can be that certain trumpet that puts out true policies to the rest of the state. I think nowhere is the Republican Party stronger or better equipped to be an example to the state than Cache Valley is, and I want to be a part of that.
anybody have anything else from Matt?
Welcome.
Okay, so with the advice and consent of the body, we do have enough members here to be a quorum, and so this is an official. So I would like to make a motion, or I'd like to propose that we, bring Matt on as Ledge 3 co-chair to my position. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. Good.
I have to round these for everyone after.
I
wish I did.
I'll be honest with you. I'm feeling pretty good. That's the first time. We're moving. We're getting forward. So going forward. So
Thank you.
I'm going to take. Yes, thank you. So we'll take this down. Sorry, Matt, if you get offended by that.
My undergrad is Master's of Open Political Science. And Master's of Emphasis in Public Health and Natural Resource Policy.
All right. With that, I want to jump right into a Lincoln dinner update. Give me just a minute here to get my bearings straight with this thing. I usually drive from a keyboard. I don't just drive from this thing. So let me find where did that go? All right at the top. Okay. So Mark and I had a good conversation last Saturday about the event, about everything. So far, this is a list of current table sponsors that we have. Sheriff Jensen and Commissioner Butters.
I think it's executive, I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's executive, it's Craig Butters.
Yes.
It's
County executive.
Yeah, he's the county executive. So I'll make sure that we get that, make sure that we make that correction there. So thank you for pointing that out. So we have Sheriff Jensen, the county executive Craig Butters are going to share a table. Val Potter and Kurt Webb are going to split a table. Val is actually not going to be there that night. He has a Founders Day dinner up at the university, but he's sponsoring half the table as well. And Kurt Webb, everybody knows that Kurt's on his way out, but Representative Webb is. But he's going to sponsor half the table. Casey Snyder is sponsoring the table. Governor Herbert, Chris Wilson, Wilson Motor Company is sponsoring the table. Rob Bishop, Representative Rob Bishop. Greg Merrill is going to do half of the table. He called me this morning and committed to do half the table. He's running for House 4.
Legislature.
Yeah. And
Maybe we
so
can get Dan Johnson to sponsor.
I was just thinking that we get Dan Johnson to sponsor the other half of the
And
table.
sponsor a full table.
So I was actually thinking, maybe we get Dan to sponsor the other half. So we'll see how that works. We'll see how that works out. Timothy Jimenez, he's a candidate for the Senate seat, for Orrin Hatch's seat. He's out of Utah County, and I believe that's where he's out of. I got a flyer on him here somewhere. Anyway, he's going to be up here. We're trying to reach out to Larry Myers. He's also a candidate for that position. We're trying to reach out to Larry and get him to buy a table as well. And then Councilman Gina Worthen, she's going to do half a table, and District Attorney James Swing is going to do the other half of that table. They did that last year. And so I know we've got some other businesses. Gary Anderson is kind of leading this up heading this up for us. Gary's going to sponsor a table of teenage Republicans for us. And so we've got a good little TARS group that we're trying to get going. Thanks to Natalie Levi and Amber Johnson. They're working hard on that, and Gary's got some connections there. And so we're hoping to get, our goal is to get at least four students from each of the 5 high schools in the county there. So we have one table already. Yes, sir.
So just now the funny information, that it's actually, we don't have a prosecution district, so it's county attorney.
Right, county attorney. Yeah.
So I just, if these are going to end up being how they're announced on the tables, I just.
Okay, great. Thank you for. Yeah, I know he's a county attorney. You're right, and so I didn't put this list together. So I had an email myself from Mark's email account. So.
Chris?
Yes, sir.
Just a suggestion. It appears as though former presidential candidate and Governor Mitt Romney is probably going to announce that he's going to run for the United States Senate next week. I would recommend that someone from the party reach out to his campaign and see if they will come up as well.
Made that contact today. So
Okay.
I made that contact today. So I have a connection via Casey. Snyder has a connection. He's a very good friend, close friend of his that works in Romney's campaign. So we reached out today, and Casey reached out for us on our behalf, and is going to get me in touch with her as soon as he announces. So
He is speaking at the Utah County
right,
Lincoln Day banquet
right. He is
on the 15th, or no, 14th,
14.
or
Yep.
13th. I don't know, anyway,
Something like that, but yeah, he's speaking at Utah County's banquet. So the plan is to get him to buy the place out. So that's what we're going to go for. We're going to try to get him to buy about 20 tables. So see what we can do.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Did you reach out to Senator Lee's office by any chance?
So he is actually, you can't see it. Sorry, let me scroll up here. Senator Lee is actually, I think that Mark Hurd reached out to him, and he's down here for 2 tickets.
Okay.
For two dinner tickets. Not sure why he's not buying a table. Yes, sir.
What about Attorney General Sean Reyes? He's come in the past and bought the table.
That's right, he has come in the past. So that is someone we need to reach out to. I don't have my notes on my notebook. She's got my notebook.
Oh, it's still okay.
Did I snag a piece of paper?
Yes, or do you want your notebook now?
No, you're good. I'll
Still.
snag a piece of paper. So, yeah, I know because he's actually been a keynote in the past, right? Sean Reyes has?
Yeah, last year.
Last year? Was? Yeah. So yeah, we'll reach out. Any other ideas you have, throw them out to me, text me, chat me, whatever. Calvin Chapman, not sure who that is. Somebody Mark knows, obviously. Mark has signed up, and so as well. So right now, with that Lincoln Day dinner, so what we talked about is obviously we've been working with Timothy Ballard and with his group. And with his publicist and his chief of staff, I guess is what he goes by, what his official title is. But we've been working with them. They are actually Tim, he goes by Tim, but he's speaking at Davis County's dinner this Friday night. So in just a few days, a couple days from now, he's speaking there. So if any of you go down to that, I would go. I was planning on going, but my little girl asked me if I could take her to a basketball game, so I'm taking her to a basketball game. So if any of you go to that, whatever you hear there, you'll hear it up here, because he actually prepared it, thinking that for somehow March 2nd, February 2nd got mixed up, and so when he met with Tina Orlocker, the county chair last week from Davis County. He was like, well, I'm actually going up there tonight. And she's like, well, I hope not, because nobody's up there ready for you. So that worked out. So anyway, but he's going to come. He's going to do his presentation. He's got slides and video and all this other stuff he's doing. about 40, 45 minutes. He's basing his, we gave him originally 15 to 20 minutes, and he was like, I don't know if I can squeeze a message into that, you know. And if anybody's ever heard Tim Ballard speak, my wife's heard him speak at Time Out for Women. He's a very, very sharp guy. He's written a couple books, The Washington Hypothesis and The Lincoln Hypothesis. So he's going to do a fantastic job for us. We haven't set this in stone yet, we're maybe going to have like a 10, 15 minute musical number or some type of entertainment as well. So we're trying to work that out. And you know, our hat has to go off to Lane Beck for lining up Tim Ballard for us. He's somebody we wanted to get. Lane actually reached out and was able to line him up for us. And Lane's also working on some entertainment for us. So Lane's doing a lot of work behind the scenes. We're trying to do things a little different, try to bring them out. One of the things I wanted to talk to y'all about, Mark and I had this discussion Saturday, is do we want to do, Mark and I are looking at deciding, do we want to do hors d'oeuvres, okay? Offered during the reception hour, you know, do we want to have something like that during the reception hour? So Mark and I are looking at that, looking at what it might cost us to do. And then we will, so once we get those costs, we'll present those figures to y'all, try to get those ready for y'all tonight. But it didn't have a chance.
Cost on a table sponsorship?
Table sponsorship is $400 for a business. Yeah, so if the clinic wants to buy a table, now's the time. We can put your name down. So, like I said, and then, so we kind of got the format. We're working on it pretty good. Mark's already been over, met with them, made sure that all the stuff. We've got the entire banquet hall rented out. I guess last year we reserved. We had a room off to the side, the Willow Room, is where they kind of had set up tables and booths and things like that for the candidates. Mark didn't think, and we got him kind of holding that room for us, and it depends on how many tables we sell and how many candidates and all that kind of stuff. But what are your thoughts on that? Because it's extra. It's an extra charge for us to rent that room, you know, or have that room if we need it.
How much?
I think it was like an extra, what did Mark tell me? It's in my notebook. 400, sorry.
You totally did not expect. Sorry, I just didn't know I had to take notes.
Yeah, you're good. You're good, sorry. Let's see, where did I write that down? I hope it's in this notebook. I got like 3-4 different notebooks going by now. Doggone it, it's on a piece of paper. Sorry, I made you tear that out for me. I'll give it back.
I mean, I guess.
Do the candidates that buy tables, do they get space for a?
Yes.
Or whatever?
Yes, so the candidates so the package includes, a table or a booth that they can set up, and then it also includes some speaking time. And we need to decide on, obviously we're not gonna have anybody stand up very, longer than 5 minutes, I don't think. Between the 2 and 5 minute mark, tops. Let's Governor Herbert, Governor Herbert says, hey, I'd like to speak, and we'll let Governor Herbert, have at least 7 minutes. So, because we want to get on with the show. We want people to enjoy it. Not that people want to enjoy listening to Governor Herbert. Speaking of Governor Herbert, one of the things that we are trying to arrange with these teenage Republicans, we are working to arrange a 10 to 15 minute meet and greet and personal one-on-one meeting with the governor for them, to get them off to a room off to the side or whatever, or lobby area, whatever it may be, give them an audience with Governor Herbert. So that's something that we were trying to do, we're working on. That was actually Gary Anderson's idea, and I presented it to Natalie and Amber, and they ate it up pretty good. So I think it's a great
Governor
opportunity.
agreed with that?
What's that?
Does the governor agree with that?
Not yet, but he will. So we'll.
If he doesn't, the lieutenant governor will.
we'll take care of that. So we'll get that all figured out. So that's kind of where we're at. We have not decided yet on an entree or anything like that yet. You know, I was kind of talking to Mark the other night about this, and like Davis County had like 3 or 4. They have like 3 or 4 options.
4.
And it ends up kind of being a little bit of a nightmare, you know, when you have that many options. And so, so I talked to Mark about that. And in fact, just yesterday I texted him and asked him about it. And we're kind of waiting to see what our total is, you know, because that affects our cost and everything else. We're looking to see how many people are going to, you know, commit to buying tickets. And so, as of right now, so let me back up to at the table includes 8 seats or 8 tickets for dinner. The tables include 8 tickets for dinner. So when the business buys or a candidate buys, they get 8 tickets for dinner. And then the other thing is right now for individual tickets, it's an RSVP. We've changed the flyer, put that new flyer up on the website. So for them to RSVP to myself or Mark right now. Teresa, correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm putting words into your mouth, but we have the square, right? Is that what we're going to be using at the door and stuff like that? Okay. So Mark and I have put our numbers on this and our numbers up on CashValleyDaily.com and a comment that I made, and it's up on the website or on the Facebook page and all that stuff. So we want people.
People can't buy tickets on our website?
We're working on that. So
Not currently.
not currently. So we are
That's-
working on
that's on the
that, and
agenda.
we're looking at one of the things that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, right after the Central Committee meeting was the Eventbrite option. We haven't had a chance to look into that more yet. We're hoping that this is something that we can get on there pretty quick so people can do that. They can go right to our website and go through. So we're working on that. Let's see. Let's go back to the agenda real quick.
On the list of the table sponsors, anybody talked to Representative Scott Samuel?
I don't
He's
think
actually District 1, so Les District 1 includes Newton, Cornish, and Clarkston.
Yeah,
He's my representative, he's Levi's representative. I can talk to him.
sure. Hit him up. So I need to back up real quick, and I apologize. I need to back up. We did not put this in the agenda, so I'd like to, call an audible here. Nate Whiting is here because I've asked him to join the advisory committee. And so as chair, the way I understand it is there's an advisory committee, and there's going to be other committees coming down the pipe as well. Joe was a committee of 1 and was doing a fabulous job, but I felt like I talked to Nate, and I felt like with Nate's experience and having served on this committee before, and having been a part of the parade scene and everything like that, having been a part of this scene for a while, I felt like his experience would be valuable to us as a committee and to the party. And so I invited him to be on that committee, and that's why Nate's here tonight. So sorry about that, Nate.
No worries.
Just trying to
Glad to be here.
move through this. So anyway, so we'll move back in. Anybody have any questions about Lincoln dinner right now?
Just one other person.
Yes, sir.
to contact might be Ed Ray. I mean, as he's leaving, he might have some campaign funding, but I don't really know if he thinks to.
Right.
He might-
Yeah, he lives up around the corner from me, so I'll get a hold of him. So, around the corner. I'm from the south. Everything's around the corner.
Another
of the south.
person you might check with is Senator Pete Knudsen and Senator Maya Hilliard.
Senator Hilliard's bought a table before, if I remember right.
He what?
He's bought a table before, if I remember right.
Yeah. So, and I have a list. So, I have a list of those who bought last year, and I actually have a list of sponsors, table sponsors going back to 2014 that I was able to get from from Gina Worthing, previous executive.
Has Auditor Dougal ever sponsored or come up?
What's that?
Yeah,
Auditor
John
Dougal.
Dougal might be willing.
John Dougal? Okay, his name is on that list, yeah.
He
Invite him to come, give him a little FaceTime, he'll buy a table.
So we got Levi, John Dougal.
People doesn't like FaceTime.
There was somebody else, there was somebody else that got mentioned
Talk for 30
before.
seconds.
Levi,
Sandal.
Who?
Sandal.
yeah, there was somebody else. Can't remember.
Don't give John Dougal this.
So, what's that? What did you say, Lee?
We'll give him an electric car port. That's his incentive.
Who's that?
John
Dougal.
Dougal.
Oh, Dougal, yeah.
He drives that face on leaf.
Hey, we've got one at Conservice. We'll let him park. It's just across the street, you know?
He'll be fine.
Well, I'll shuttle him over if he needs it. We'll shuttle him over. In fact, we'll let him plug in his electric car, and then we'll put him in Matt's diesel, and then shuttle him over. We'll bring him over that way. So, anyway, good deal. Any questions right now about dinner or anything? Anybody have any preferences for your entree? How many of you are going to be there? Perfect.
There are
Awesome.
more tickets to sell.
What's that?
There's more tickets for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, good stuff. All right. So as we get more details, I will send that out to you. Okay. We'll send that stuff out to you. But we're trying to. We want it to be a nice, fun evening. Oh, speaking of that night, one of the things I wanted to bring up really quick. It's not on the agenda, but it kind of is with the Lincoln Dinner update. So I was approached by Keep My Voice. Okay, Keep My Voice is the opposite. I guess I should point to the right side. There's the Count My Vote, and then there's Keep My Voice. So Keep My Voice, they approached me about, they've done this at other county dinners. I know they were just at Tooele's this past Saturday. So they're the driving force behind trying to keep the caucus system going in Utah. They reached out to me and asked if they could come and have maybe have a table or a booth set up and then maybe speak. So I'm going to tell you what I think about that, and I'll open it up for discussion really quick. Sure, you want to come buy a table, come buy a table, And so they've agreed to that they will buy a table. That they told us that either is acceptable, having a table or having speaking privileges. Well, to get either or, you have to pony up a little bit. So, and I asked them about that. I said, what have the other counties done? And I talked to some other county chairs that they've been to, and they've made them. The cash-strapped counties have made them pay. Are we cash-strapped? Not really, but we're not well off either. So I'm of the opinion that we asked them to buy a table, and I'm of the opinion to not give them any speaking time because it's not a convention. It's not a central committee meeting. It's not a state central committee meeting. It's not anything like that. We want this to be a fun, enjoyable evening for everyone. They want to talk amongst themselves at a table, or hobnob with people, rub shoulders, talk with other people in between dinner, in between whatever. By all means, I want people to enjoy this experience, so they come back again and again and again, and they spread the word on how great our Lincoln Dinner is, so that we outgrow. I don't know where we would go after we outgrow the Riverwoods, but maybe the Spectrum. We'll just
University Ballroom.
Yeah. So anyway, what are your thoughts? Let's open it up.
What's
Jeff.
the difference between this association and the one that Lane was talking about that was put together at the SEC? They sound like the same thing.
Same group.
It's the same group.
Same group?
Same group. It's Freedom of Association Initiative, and it's being backed by Keep My Voice.
Okay.
Is what it is. It's same group. Yeah.
Freedom of Association Committee was formed at the State Central Committee meeting on
Right.
January 27th.
Right.
And some of the people that are on that committee are also backing the Keep My Voice initiative. Because it's really what it's all about, is freedom of association. I don't know, I'm not part of this committee, I'm just there as a guest, whatever, but if table for FaceTime. What's the difference?
Well,
Okay.
I just want to make sure that Gail Miller wants to buy a table, sell her table too.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah. Because no, you bring up a great point, because I act like I don't directly work for Deloitte Hansen, but Deloitte Hansen owns Conservice. So I'm a Deloitte Hansen slave. So I work for Deloitte. Deloitte owns RSL, he owns Wasatch Group. You know, he was the money behind Conservice and what we do, and you guys can see our great big building with the big blue bug zappers out front. They're supposed to be lightsabers. Everybody there is a Star Wars nut. So, yes.
I think the difference between having like a representative speak versus having a group like that speak is we're there to hear from our representatives for the purpose of going to Lincoln Day Dinner to hear them.
Right.
We're not there to talk about different controversies or
Right.
different, and I don't know if that would change the cost of the table or anything like that. I don't think it should, but I don't know how much what is the charge for that table? Where it's not a...
For just the table without, so the table would get them the 8 tickets for dinner,
is that the $400 table or
right.
is that the $600
That's the
table?
$400 table. They would get and I don't know, maybe we do a different package, because part of that package, or part of the candidate package is, the $500 table or the $800 table is to get a speaking right.
Yeah, so $400 table is not the same as a $500.
Right. So if they want to pay $500, they want to pay $800, they want to pay $1,000. You give them a couple minutes, maybe. But I see what you're saying. That the purpose is for us to get our candidates up there, give them the FaceTime if they want it, and then hear a great keynote speaker, enjoy a great dinner, have dessert, and go on about our day.
Maybe a good middle ground, instead of having them speak, would be allowing them to set up a booth like the candidates do.
Right.
That way anyone-
And that's what they've asked for. They've asked for either or. They've asked for either to set up a table or a booth like the candidates get to do, and pass out information, flyers and whatnot, or speak. They're okay with either or.
So they didn't ask for FaceTime specifically?
Nope, they didn't ask for it specifically or directly.
My opinion is the speaker's going to take 45, 50 minutes. Other candidates are going to take 5 minutes-ish.
Right.
And there's a bunch of other stuff at the beginning. It's going to be a long time.
Sure.
Let's keep it short and not give them speaking time.
Okay. And I'm actually trying to convince Tim to maybe shorten it a little bit. 30. I don't know if he can or not, or will, but.
Well, but I think what that does is it sets a precedence for others, like if Count My Vote wants to
Right.
come and have it, then we could say for non-candidates for elected office or non-representatives, sitting representatives, you can buy a table and that also gets you a booth.
Sure.
And, that could be Girl Scouts, that could be Teenage Republicans, that could be
Could be
Lions Club.
anybody.
Yeah, whoever wants to come and sponsor that event
Right.
could come and do that.
College Republicans, it could be, I talked to Denise Lindsay, she's the president-elect for the Republican Women delegation up here. Her and Kathy Robinson. Kathy Robinson's the current president, which our website, by the way, we need to update. Kathy Robinson. Barbara Tidwell's no longer the president of that association. And then Kevin Hill's not with the College Republicans yet either, or anymore either. He's heavily involved, but that's a different story. So, Nate, you got something you want to say?
No, I
Add to it?
Matt, I think, let them have a booth, that's fine. But
Sure.
yeah, we've got enough other folks that are going to be
Right.
talking and taking time on the dais, so.
Right. Okay. So I think the consensus then would be that we let them buy a table, give them a booth, but they don't get any speaking time. Everybody's shaking or not nodding their head. They're not shaking their head. Everybody good with that? Okay. Then we'll move forward with that. I wanted to, Mark said it was up to me, whatever, but it needs to be up to us. I don't run this show. I'm here for y'all. So great. Thank you. All right, we can move on. I'm going to try to move through now. Let's move down to caucus night, and Lane will give you a few minutes here, and if you can come up and tell us about this resolution and tell us what this is all about. So we.
I should have made copies of this so I can hand it out to y'all. But this was a resolution that was passed by the State Central Committee on Saturday of last week.
What page is that on that packet? I know there's no page number, but I can take a picture of it real quick and put it on the screen.
Okay.
Oh, it's on that right there. Gotcha.
Do you have this one?
Somewhere. A whole bunch of oh, Moses.
Yeah, that's it. Right there. Page 4 of that one. So Chris will get that up on the screen. So basically, what the State Central Committee did was I don't know if you all are aware of well, you probably are. You've all been fairly active in the party. You probably are aware of this battle that's been going on in the party over the signature path and the alternate route around the ballot, the convention, and all these things. And there was a gentleman down in Utah County that about 3 months ago stepped up to the plate and said, you know, I want to help the party out with this debt that it has with respect to the attorneys that have been fighting this legal battle that the party has been fighting now for 4 years, well, 3 years. The law was passed into law 4 years ago, but it was about 3 years ago that they actually filed the litigation where they've been challenging it in court. And that gentleman's name is Dave Bateman, and he's put up, I don't know exactly how much it is yet, because he's still negotiating with one attorney, the one attorney that had the largest bill. But he has basically said, I'm willing to pay for all the legal bills, both back and going forward. And the only thing he asked in exchange for that is for the case to be fully litigated. As long as the State Senate Committee is willing to keep saying, well, if you're willing to keep paying your money for this litigation, okay. So it's up to the State Senate Committee actually to decide when the litigation ends. But in that process, one of the things that he chose to do is put some more money where his mouth is and really run an alternate ballot initiative that basically repeals Senate Bill 54 and saves the state about $3.5 million on an annual basis, or on an election cycle basis, if it passes. And they've done their analysis on it, and that's what the cost savings is: $3.5 million on an annual, or on a per election cycle basis. And what the State Senate Committee agreed to do on Saturday was to create this new committee made up of 5 individuals. They're Josh Daniels, Blaine Ney, Helen Watts, Kira Birkland, and Lee Scablin. And these folks are organizing across the state to essentially, and the State Senate Committee authorized this Keep My Voice group, if you will, to, or actually it's the Freedom of Association Committee, it's not the Keep My Voice group, the Freedom of Association Committee is organizing to have volunteers in every precinct that will be available to help gather signatures, to help whatever, to get this on the ballot. Because they're late in the game. They didn't get this started until, in fact, it was just Monday night that we had a public hearing over at the Logan Library that really, they've started being able to gather signatures as of yesterday or today, I think it was. Right. And they've got to gather 130,000 signatures before April 15th if this gets on the ballot. And really the only way they can do it is to have caucus supporters helping them get it on the ballot. Now, if you really believe in the caucus, then this is something that we should support, in my opinion. And what this resolution does, did you get it up there yet, Chris?
It's over right now.
Is it creates this committee, and their objective is to do the following. Keep My Voice petitions available at precinct caucus meetings for signing and encouraging support of the petition for the party nomination process outlined in the bylaws. See, there is no signature pack in our bylaws. That's a state law that allows that. Educate caucus attendees about the importance of party nomination process through literature, videos, assuming there's technology at the caucus. Now, there are ways to get around that. I think we as a county could have everyone come together in an auditorium, for example, in the school where we're going to hold these caucuses at to begin with before you split out, and then have a 5-minute video or a 3-minute video talking about Keep My Voice initiative and why it's important that people sign the initiative. That's one way to handle it. Or if it is available in each caucus, in each precinct, you could do it that way. But you could do it that way with one video, 5 minutes for the whole group. Have your pledge, your prayer, your reading of your platform, and then you separate out into your various caucus rooms after that for each voting precinct. That's one way to do it. Ensure that no other competing ballot initiative would be undermining the party's chosen nomination process. This was to count my vote folks that are gathering a new petition to create more cost for the state and further dictate to political parties the methods they use in nominating candidates. But that same group that did this 4 years ago is out gathering signatures again this year for a new petition. And that number 3 was designed to keep that group out of the caucuses and competing in this manner. And then be responsible, FACT, that's a Freedom of Association Committee, shall be responsible for obtaining external funding sources to finance the execution of their responsibilities. So they're not going to ask the party to put any money out for this. They're going to go to donors that will put up the money to put these videos together and the materials together and so forth. And the Freedom Association Committee shall create, manage, and approve and execute relevant communications, content, and signature gathering efforts for the purpose identified in its mission. So I'm not part of this committee. I did vote for it as a state central committee member. I think it's important. It's actually critical, in my opinion, for the party to preserve its independence from state interference. For lots of reasons, because what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, is a fundamental First Amendment right to freedom of association. Now, if you think it's right for a state to dictate to a private entity how they put forward their standard bearers, then I guess maybe you're okay with SB 54 and with a new petition that they're attempting to get on the ballot. If you believe that private entities should be able to select their leadership, if you will, those who represent them to the public, in a way that that entity chooses, then you should support the Freedom of Association initiative, in my opinion. And how this body wants to deal with that, I don't know, but this resolution that was passed basically authorized the Freedom of Association Committee to prepare materials, get it into your hands as a county, to get it to your precincts, who will then help gather signatures and promote this Freedom of Association initiative at the caucus. Now, some people have a different opinion, I understand that. And, you know, I heard Chris saying that, you know, maybe this is something that people shouldn't talk about at a Lincoln event. Frankly, I think it's something that should be talked about at all events. I'm all in favor of talking about basic fundamental constitutional rights in any venue. But nevertheless, I know that there are some people in our party that don't agree with that. And maybe we should think about that. But anyway, anybody have any questions about what the State Central Committee passed on Saturday of last week? Yes, Natalie.
So are you going to provide like paper and everything for people to sign? Or?
There will be signature packets available at caucus, yes.
And when are those going to be available?
They'll be available they're available now, actually. We just need to get them up there.
Are they the ones that like we have to print out the website and put the paper for it and everything?
You know what? I'm going to have to find that out. I don't know the answer to that question, but they are specific forms that the state elections office requires that they use. Each packet has, I think, a place for like 50 signatures or something, and yeah, have a witness sign with the person that is signing, and at least that's my understanding. I haven't actually seen the petitions. They haven't come around to my house to gather signatures, and other groups haven't.
I think they have to be bound together.
They have to be bound together, and anyway, the Keep My Voice organization is responsible for getting those packets out to the counties. And they will be doing that. And this committee is a part of the state central committee that will be coordinating with volunteers across the state to make this happen. So any other questions? Joe?
So I see this as kind of two-pronged, and that's where my confusion came in with thinking they were the same group, because they're essentially fighting for the same thing. So we'll have the Keep My Voice signature petition packets there for anyone who wants to sign to sign at caucus nights. The other thing that I think, and this is just me editorializing my own frustrations, when I was involved years and years ago as a precinct vice chair and later as a precinct chair, we didn't have a lot of information about, we were new, we're not paid professionals. We didn't really know how to direct people to be a good delegate, what they were supposed to do, other than what the state sent in their packet, and that was essentially you have 2 meetings that you're going to have to commit to attending, and in case you can't, you need to elect alternates who can go in your place. And that was pretty much all we were told a delegate was, and we told that to the people that we were representing. This is what a delegate is. It's just somebody who attends 2 meetings, and that's it. Over the years of my involvement, the position of delegate, I don't like using the term delegate. I think it's too much of our exclusive club. I like using the term elected neighborhood representative. I think it's more descriptive, because that's what they do. And yes, their official title is delegate, but they are the official elected neighborhood representative, and it's more than just going to the 2 meetings. So that's one of the reasons that I didn't have a vote on the state central committee at the time, but that's one of the reasons I like this, is I think this puts together a more of a interactive training experience for those people who would like to run to represent their neighbors. This is more than just attending 2 meetings. This is being that elected neighborhood representative. And right now there's 2 paths. There's a path around that, and then there's a path through that. And I think if we had this in place before the Count My Vote initiative came out, where we had really involved delegates and we had good understanding of what that system was supposed to be, rather than just attend 2 meetings over the next 2 years, I don't think we would have had a Count My Vote initiative at all. So whether you're pro Count My Vote, pro Keep My Voice, whatever the fact may be, this is our system. This is our, their delegates. This is their job, and this is how they represent the neighbors in their neighborhoods. That's what they're elected to do. And I think this, if executed properly, will help convey that message and will relieve the concerns that I had way back when as a precinct chair and trying to tell my neighbors what their jobs were really supposed to be.
Okay, well, I think that kind of goes to really educating our people and what the role of a delegate is. The party has done a really poor job of that in the past, in my opinion. They've not educated our people what the job of a delegate is. And I think it's incumbent on us to get that done. The one thing I would like to mention at this point is there was also a fundraising committee that was established on Saturday of last week. And the purpose of that fundraising committee is to assist the counties in raising money, provide ideas, technical expertise, and really encourage the counties to solicit funding of the county party from the grassroots level. Now, when we have these caucuses in the past, we pass a bucket around or an envelope and ask people to donate, right? How many people carry cash nowadays? Anybody? Hardly anybody does, right? Most people do not carry cash. Or if they do, it's a very little amount. And so this fundraising committee is in the process of developing an app that could be used at caucus or at Lincoln Day events or at county conventions, when someone could just use the app to transfer money to the county party. Whether it's $10 one time or $5 a Lincoln a month, $5 a month, whatever. We are in the process, this fundraising committee is in the process of creating that. And they would like to be able to utilize that at caucus. If you want to have your caucus donations donated through this app, then it's likely going to be available by caucus. So,
Can't they just use an existing platform like Venmo?
That's exactly what I
or
was.
Venmo or whatever. But,
My Venmo, I like money all the time.
okay, well,
My wife
just
said-
know that there are lots of reasons why, for the county parties, that this app will be a key for the future. Because it will also allow us to track their contact information, for example, and keep that at the county party level. It's not going to go to the state, it's going to stay right at the county. And the money will stay right at the county unless this committee that I'm a part of makes a recommendation to the State Central Committee, and the State Central Committee is made up of all of the county party chairs and vice chair. Make a recommendation to have some split go to the state party, which there should be some that go to the state party, if the state party is providing resources to do this. That's also assuming that the state party has a budget that's been approved. So anyway, that's all I have. I'm done for tonight.
Okay.
Unless someone has more questions about either of those.
The only question I would have is why would the contact information not also go to the state?
Well, the only obligation that the county party has to give to the state party is who our state delegates are.
I understand that, but the members of the county party are also members of the state party.
Which they have access to that, the state party has access to that with the state voter rolls.
If I could, I can comment on that a little bit. In the past, we have, as counties, we've relied on the state to provide contact information for making caucus night run smoother. We saw that back when I was a ledge chair in Davis County, and the data that we had from the state party was old and inaccurate, but they gave us the list and said, you've got to use this software that has these people already in it. It didn't even include the state's registration data. It was their own proprietary voter data, registered Republican data, and it was a nightmare. A lot of counties had their own data. They had their own records, they had their own rolls, they had their secretaries who were keeping track of that information, but they couldn't use it because the state was saying you've got to use, the state party was saying you've got to use ours. So just from my personal perspective, I would much rather have data that is local and controlled by the precincts, by the ledge districts, by the county parties, and then when the state says, hey, we would like to send out an email to people in your district, they can ask us and we can send that on their behalf rather than us saying, can we send something out to our people?
That's another problem that we've had. In 2012, I went to the caucus and happened to make a mistake of giving the state party, actually the county Republican Party, my email address, which was then given, and I wasn't even elected as a state delegate that year. But my email address somehow ended up at the state party, which was then sold to all over the nation. And I started getting spam from political candidates from all across the nation asking me for money, and I had to change email addresses because of that.
I've had a different experience. I mean, state parties had my email address for the last 15 years, and I get emails from.
Well, I'm not the only one to complain about
But
that.
I mean, it's fine. I'm just saying, you know, to Joe's point, if the data from the state is old and we have data that's current, why don't we all work together? I mean,
Well, I think we should work together, but the challenge has been the state party with their data systems has changed vendors every election cycle. You should talk to Gina Worthen about this. She was the party secretary here a few years ago. It's like every election cycle we get a different data system from the state party. And so to Joe's point is we have our own data system, and that's what one of the purposes of creating this app is.
Right, and it, like, for example, just to speak to that is, you know, the thing they preached to us about, or talked to us a little bit about, was Qualtrics. Qualtrics is the data system that they're looking to use right now. Some of you may have heard about that, I don't know. I threw this image up here really quick. This is actually an image of Count My Votes signature page. It looks very similar to this. I'm purposely trying to keep his name above here to protect her identity. A friend of mine took a picture of this and sent it to me. He actually called me. I was at the gym, and he calls me up and he says, "Hey," he said, "did you get my text?" I'm like, "No, man, I'm sweating my butt off on a treadmill right now. I didn't text." And then so I looked at it real quick, and this is what it had. And he says, "What do I do? Do I sign it?" I was like, "Well, that's your choice." I said, "I wouldn't sign it, but that's your choice. You sign it if you want." He said, "Well, what is it?" And I said, "Well, that's Count My Votes initiative right there, the Direct Primary Elections Act. That's what that's their initiative paper right there. So if you see this paper come around, that's what it looks like. The Freedom of Association will be identical, except it'll say Freedom of Association Act on the bottom. What's that?
Yeah, the fiscal note is actually, it looks a lot better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that. Anyway, I thought I'd throw that up there for you real quick, so y'all can take a glance at that really fast. So really quick. So I want to kind of get moving. So thank you, Lane, for giving us that update on that resolution and talking about that and the data thing and everything else. And those are things that we're going to table that discussion for later, but that's definitely something we need to look at and address. I think we all saw, when we were trying to get people out to the central committee meeting a couple of weeks ago, we're looking at the records we have. A lot of people have moved. People give us a bad email address, bad phone number. It could be it could be Hotmail, but instead of saying Hotmail in their email, it says HOMAIL. It like leaves out a letter or something like that. So I think, and Des, I know, was working on this over the weekend, last weekend, and a little bit working on trying to get that cleaned up. And we all went through and called a bunch of people and tried to clean that list up. I know personally, Lee, I know that you have a couple of districts that don't have any like you have like a couple. I think Logan 4. Like your chair and your vice chair have all moved out. Secretaries all moved out of that
I
district.
had one precinct where they've both been convicted of crime. Felony.
Yeah, you got one precinct where. Yeah, he does. He's got one precinct. Yeah, they're both up and ready right now. So.
They both someplace in Grable or something.
Yeah, exactly. So Lee's got an interesting district. But anyway, and I just happen to know about Logan 4 because I used to live in that precinct, and I'm good friends with both the chair and the vice chair from that were there. Anyway, that being said, locations. You had secured some locations right down south. We got Ridgeline, and was it Ridgeline High, and then a middle school or an elementary school or something?
Ridgeline Mountain Crest Providence.
Ridgeline Mountain Crest Providence. Okay, so we've got Ridgeline, Mountain Crest, and then Providence. Okay, and those are all secured, all taken care of.
All three of them are charging $350.
$350. Okay. Do we have contracts for all of those?
Yeah, I do. I'll email them to you.
Yeah, if you just want to email them to me, that'd be great. Okay, and I know that we have, so those take care of all the precincts down south. They take care of like Nibley, Hiram, all Paradise.
We have rooms reserved for everyone.
Awesome, great job.
Those three Logan districts, I look back in the history, they've always gone to that Mount Logan Middle School.
Right.
So hopefully we're still okay there.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. In a minute.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that one. So, just on the north end of the valley, we've got North Cache is where Richmond and Cove and a few of those northern areas they meet up there. That's what I was told by their precinct chairs. They got it. They're working it out. They're supposed to give me a contract, and then I asked them to let me know. This is, before I was put in this position, but I asked them to let me know if they needed help. I haven't heard from anyone. I need to follow up. I'll call them, follow up with them. Actually, we'll maybe give that to Matt as his first assignment, his first duty. And then Smithfield is going to Skyview High School. We've got Skyview and a bunch of rooms reserved up there. And then all the North Logan precincts are going to Green Canyon High School. We have that's reserved, auditorium and a bunch of other rooms and stuff there as well. I'm working right now, and I need to pass this information on to you, but I'm working with, or you or Lindsay, I'm working with Daryl's Appliance or somewhere else to try to get the Benson precinct, a closer location. They've been coming over to Greenville Elementary, which isn't a long drive, but Troy Ballard, their precinct chair, he and I had a long conversation a couple weeks back, and he feels like it might get a few more people out if they could hold it at a location a little closer to them. Daryl's has a meeting room, only holds like 20 or 30 people. I talked to Jeff out there at Daryl's. I don't know how many people historically attend the Benson precinct meeting. And so we're working on that. Now that brings us to Logan, Mount Logan. You got that all locked up, right, Lee?
I haven't, they said they would email me a map.
Okay.
They haven't emailed it to me.
Haven't seen anything.
They said that we're on the 20th. The Constitution Party is also meeting there, so we're competing for, we gotta make sure that it's a little theater because that fills up with
Okay.
precinct 29, so.
Okay.
Anyway,
Do you need any help with that? You know,
well, I don't know. I mean,
you guys are
We'll have to
hammering it
take
out,
care
right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you
Yeah,
guys
we
just,
got
just go over there and strong arm them a little bit,
well, they were I'm a little worried because 2 years ago, they weren't very happy with us because, they got slammed.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was,
We ended up staying later than they anticipated, and,
Sure.
the janitor was about ready to shoot us and stuff like that. So.
yeah.
And the irony is the janitor's wife is a precinct chair.
Oh, shoot.
So, anyway.
Yeah, so that's the thing too that is going to be. So it sounds like location-wise we're okay. We got them pretty much all secured. I'm still working on securing a few rooms there, but that's the thing too is that obviously this is an off year. I don't know that we'd have the same kind of turnout. It'd be great if we did,
Parts it's going to depend on Romney.
Right, exactly. Part of it will depend on Romney, and I will let this committee know, and if. I got a text just a little bit ago that the Romney team will reach out to me on Monday. Let me know. They'll be reaching out to me on Monday to let me know how many tables they want. So sounds like they are coming. And like I told Casey, my mindset is, hey, whether Mitt Romney says he's going to run or not, he should throw some money our way anyway because he's a Republican and he's got deep pockets. And so, anyway, so we'll move on from there. One of the things that Mark and I talked about was where the ledge co-chairs need to be and how we need to split up, and where chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, everybody needs to go. I know that Mark had. And so I don't know how that's historically worked in the past, so I'm going to, open this up for conversation or discussion right now.
We can always use help at the middle school. If
Yeah.
people show up and need to be guided to rooms. And one frustration that I have is, and I've printed out big maps. People
Right.
don't know what precinct they live in.
Right.
So I'll print out the big maps again, but we needed help. And we had Gina and Boyd come down last time, the middle school, and kind of help us, but.
Yeah, I was there helping.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah, I remember Mark said that he had, that's where we had to concentrate our efforts. Was there.
I was going to say, if you don't have anything else to do, please come to Mount Logan Middle.
Yeah. So.
Everybody.
No, that's good. And so if that's what we need to do, now this might be also caucus night might be something where we can get TARs involved, Natalie,
Yes, I was just thinking.
on caucus night, and being able to help out, maybe helping them identify like which precinct people live in, that kind of stuff, kind of ushering people around, moving people around a little bit. We can get some billboards and some rope and precinct 29 on the front, on the back, and then they can walk around, So something. We'll figure something out. But that might be a way to get the TARs involved.
And I'm also thinking if we have adults showing up who are being directed by teenagers, that would be a great reach out
Sure.
opportunity to say, hey, do you have teenagers? If so, here's the information for
Right.
Cache County Teenage Republicans.
Right, absolutely. So, absolutely. Okay, so we'll work that process out, and see where we need to be. And obviously, I want to be wherever we need the most help at. How do you guys normally do on the south end, on the south end of the valley? You guys are normally pretty good. I know we got a precinct chair down there. She's infamous. I heard she's in and out in like 45 minutes.
You know, it'll be different this year because it's only in 3. I think last time it was in like 6.
Yeah. So
So
a little more concentrated. Right.
hopefully so.
And I think the same thing will go for like North Logan and Smithfield, where I remember last year with North Logan, or 2 years ago, I think the majority of the 6 precincts were at the Cache County School District office, their technical learning facility or whatever. But then there were a few others that were kind of scattered around and stuff like that. So I think that we now with Ridgeline and Green Canyon, that certainly helps us out.
I wonder if we can get one person at every building at least.
Yeah. So, yeah, we could certainly do that. I've been asked, you know, obviously I need to, and you know, yes, I got to duck into my precinct long enough to vote. I don't know how to do this.
Remember, we still have the absentee.
Well, that's
ballot.
true. Yeah, that's true. That is true. That's the other thing too that we haven't talked about. It's not up here, but so we do have the absentee ballot for those that can't make it, that have to work, or you know, those of us that have to be somewhere else, and we're not in our precinct, in our actual precinct. We'll be able to also count.
You can also pre-register, I think, with that software.
Right.
If you want to pre-register as a state delegate or as a precinct chair or something,
Right.
you indicated your intentions that that's what you would like to do before you go to the meeting. So that's going to be on the ballots that
So
people are voting on.
So I sent out an email to everybody. Jeff sent some good replied, sent some good feedback, had some good talking points about that. This is what we're talking about. I'm going to be participating in a webinar tomorrow night. I think Joe's going to be participating as well. And there's several, probably a dozen or so. Now we don't put that kid to sleep, man. He's out.
Yeah, wrestling practices.
There you go. You've probably been up early with wrestling practice and stuff like that. So anyhow, but this is what Kirby's going to be doing it on. I'm very unfamiliar with this, and so I'm doing the webinar. As I think there's maybe a couple dozen, at least a dozen chairs that I know around the state that are also participating in the webinar. Maybe more. So as you get a little more information, we'll kind of figure that out. But okay. So real quick, I want to kind of get moving through this. I want to try to get us out of here. Training dates and locations. So these dates are just dates that Mark and I discussed Saturday. He thought they were good dates. These are actually the exact same dates that Davis County is doing for their training. And I know that Box Elder had a central committee meeting this past Saturday, and they had a false alarm that they were having a caucus training out there, but because nothing was out yet. All the links and all that kind of stuff just came out on the other day. So February 15th, I know that's a very fast approaching date. Next Thursday, 6:30 to 8:30. Mark said he can get the Hyde Park City building to do that training. What Mark and I talked about was kind of splitting it up geographically. So some of the precincts up north. And the reason we threw 3 dates out here is because not everybody's going to be able to come to 1 or even 2. And so we're looking at the first one being like on the north end of the valley at Hyde Park City Council or their city building, whatever. Mark said we could use that building. And so that'll be, like Richmond, Clarkston, like all the northern precincts, will go there. Precinct officers will go there. Then on the south end of the valley, venue to be determined. I don't know anything that, I don't know a place down there on the south end of the valley that we could go and do that kind of stuff. Do you guys know of anything, Jeff, Matt? In a place that we were, huh?
Other than high school.
Right, other than the high school. I mean, high school's an obvious place, and that's, there's, I mean, if I don't know if we can, if by, March 3rd, or excuse me, March 1st, I don't know if we can get anyway, and that doesn't, those don't have to be the day. It doesn't have to be March 1st, because I know we got Lincoln dinner the next night, so, I mean, I'm up for it, but, what do y'all think about those dates up there?
I'd rather see March 17th than March 1st.
You'd rather see March 17th?
I know that's pushing it.
So 3 days before caucus?
That's the Hail Mary date.
Right.
If you haven't been to one of the other two, then
Right.
Or
So March 10th is a Saturday, and we
right.
Could we put these online? Could we film one of them and put them online and send them to our people? So
Yeah.
if they can't attend,
right,
they
yeah.
can at least watch.
Well, that's what I'm planning on doing. That's what I like to do is try to is try to do that is to film it. And the nice thing about this is, I think this will make this easier for us. Is so I sent a link, okay, and I sent a link to this to this site right here. This is on the state party site. This is caucus. They got 5 rah-rah videos right here that we're not going to watch right now. You can go home and watch those as you try to fall asleep, whatever. But this is the training center down here, okay? So the state party is not printing anything out for us. It said that, it cost them about $10 a packet for them to print, and they've elected not to do that. And so everything is on here, it's on the website. So there's a voter guide, attendance rolls, instructions, a ballot tally sheet. Then it has delegate duties, state delegate duties and responsibilities.
so we'd probably want to have the same for county delegate duties and responsibilities.
Yeah.
That we'd include in our packet.
Yeah. And then there'll be there's precinct officers, info door sign, caucus attendance roll instructions, a checklist for the precinct chair, precinct host guide, state delegate allocations, caucus rules. They were late getting this on here, and the caucus data format. This is kind of a sheet right here. So the first thing, and so I sent these out, so these are the rules really quick, if we want to just kind of try to cruise through these. Do you guys want to go through this one by one and just look at it, or do you want to look at it on your own? How do you want to do this? Because we're trying to set it, and I don't even know if we can get it. I know we can get Hyde Park City next Thursday. I know we can get that building next Thursday. I just need a
Dumb question, what is the percent of attendance by precinct officers to these trainings? Do we have a feel for that?
That I don't know, because I know that when right after I got elected, I attended a training. It wasn't a caucus training; it was for like county convention. It was right after that. It was for the county organizing convention. But some of you guys, Nate, you've been at this longer. Dale, you've been at this longer.
I was going to say, last year we had 2 trainings, or last time I should say, and both of them were here at the one building there on Federal Avenue.
Right.
And we had, because of the election year, I mean, it was
Sure.
a great turnout, but I mean, we probably covered 75% of them in that one. But at the same time, I think on the previous one, it was 20, 25%.
Yeah,
you know.
not a lot.
I can tell you that in 2011, 2012, I guess, if you remember, Hatch was running, the state actually made a pretty big push when Thomas Wright was still chair. And in Cache County, we held 2 trainings, and I was at both of them, and there were probably combined 60 people.
How many?
60.
At
Between
both
the 2
trainings?
meetings. No, between the 2, so
Mhm.
30.
That would have been a non-presidential year, too.
Well, it was Hatch's, it was the year Hatch was.
That was 12, so that was
12.
that was a presidential year.
That's just
Oh, sure, that's your own.
leaders.
Yeah.
That's not
Presidential
caucus
nominee.
night.
So, I mean, there were a lot of folks at caucus that year, but at the caucus training for the precinct chairs.
Yeah. Now, we don't have to do 3. You know, we don't, I'm just, because I think, because of the availability of this information, it's on the state party site, you know, and I'm one of those that, I'm a firm believer that, hey, if you raised your hand and you volunteered and you got voted in, whether it was by acclamation or you won by however many votes, then you're accepting that responsibility, you know, and then one of these responsibilities is to know this stuff. You know, one of their responsibilities is, yes, Dale.
Chris, I was just thinking, you know, as far as this is concerned, we can put a note out to the precinct leaders and direct them here.
Right.
And say your first step is to read this
Right.
information. And then offer them 2 dates. You know, I just throw out the 15th, you can't, seems like give a little window there.
Sure.
And then from there, I guess it kind of falls on the co-chairs to make an outreach and say, look, are you ready to get this? You ready? You know, and then, but it's, you know, just those 3 steps should prepare everybody, or at least give us a reasonable intent.
Well, and that, I think, does 2 things, especially if we keep attendance at these meetings, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 10, however many. We should have the precinct chair and the precinct vice chair for every precinct across the valley attend one of them. And if we don't get attendance from either one at any of the meetings, that should be a flag to us to say we need to have a caucus host ready to go who knows this information, who can go in and run this caucus night for them so that they have the training, they have the information. It's not just somebody who's supposed to be running this thing and then we drop the ball in that precinct.
Right, and I know, for example, Logan 25 is in District 3. They are, the secretary's now, well, she's now the chair. So, everybody else has moved. And so, I actually, before, when I still lived as chair, I made her the chair. I asked her, I said, it's temporary till March 20th. This is what you got to do. I'll help you out any way I can, and so she's actually, like, I think her husband's going to be the vice chair, and she's got somebody who's going to step in, be treasurer and secretary and help out. She's got a handful of people that she's called and organized, and so she would, be one that maybe need a little help. But I totally agree with this, with what you're saying, is to get that out to them and say, hey, this is what you need to read. And so I wanted to present it to y'all first because this stuff just barely came out on the site, on the state party site.
Before we move on from that one, do we know how close to previous caucus rules that these are? I mean, is this like the same thing just with a new year on it, or are there substantial changes?
The way they were adopted by the State Central Committee is they adopted the 2016 rules minus the presidential
preference
information. So it's pretty much the same way 2016 was run, with the exception of the presidential.
Okay. Right. Okay. And so, so this just goes through there, and you're right. There's not really a whole lot of change to that, and so we'll go through here. And I think Jeff, you and I talked about this briefly, kind of an agenda, right when you got here. This is kind of their order of business that's been lined out by the state party. I know that in my precinct a couple years ago we read the county platform. Actually, I think Reese Johnson was a precinct chair at the time before me there, and he actually read the state platform. I think I thought people were going to shoot him. So because it's so long.
You know what I think should probably be done there? If you had video technology there, it could be, you could create a video in advance of someone reading that.
Yeah.
The platform, and get that over with quickly. Get someone that really knows how to read,
So that
has a
video's
good
up
voice.
What's
Get
that?
it done
That
quickly.
video's up there. They have someone reading the platform.
Of the
on
state-
next page.
the state-
They do, yeah, they do actually.
It's 10 minutes long, but unless you want to get somebody.
Right here.
So just do a video.
So right there's the video.
So that's the state party platform. We could actually do the county platform.
Right.
if we don't want to do the state one.
Okay.
Even though the state one's a state one.
Right. So anyway, so that's up there, and then, so I'm just gonna kind of go through this really fast. If you guys don't mind, if you have any objections, let me know. It's 8:30, I wanna try to, move things along, if you're okay with that. Okay. All right, so this is just the voter guide. They actually asked me, Dana Dixon, Mark Hurd and I cornered Dana. He's the caucus committee chair for the state party, and we cornered him after the SCC meeting to find out about this information. He says, I'm going to email it to you, I'm going to email it to you. And like 2 days, I was supposed to get it last Tuesday, never got anything. So I was hounding him, I was calling him, I was texting him, messaging him, like, where's this stuff at, and finally got it over, and they finally put the links up. BJ Griffin, the executive director for the state party, actually finally put the interns all put these links up here. So this is just a simple voter guide right here that everybody can look at and go to. They reference the website right here, elections.utah.gov. You can also go to this website right here, and it'll tell you about the different initiatives that people are trying to push through right now. There's 5 or 6 different initiatives that people are trying to push through. There's the Freedom of Association, there's Count My Vote, there's medical cannabis, and there's 2 others.
Our schools now and
the one about schools and raising taxes on us. So anyway, so that's all there. But and then here are just the attendance roll instructions. This is probably, this is all good information to have up here, but one of the ideas that I talked to somebody about here last week is I was talking to somebody about the problem I thought we had with, when people register and they're writing stuff down, and not everybody's handwriting is, legible, and so, I had a plumber, or I had a technician scan me some images today of some serial numbers he wrote down on a bunch of equipment, and I think I'm going to need something to decipher that with. I'm going to need like a urim and a thumbum or something.
Yeah.
Figure that out. But anyway, so they talked about having a way for people to just type their information in. If we don't already have it, or if we already have it, try to get it up there and try to confirm it somehow.
So I know I don't even know if it's plausible, but the past conversations that we've had as a committee where we are having a hard time getting the emails to people, and suggestions have been made to send a text out that says, hey, you have an email, check your email box, could we send out a form to precincts or whatnot when they sign up people for caucus that say, check here if you would like text from the county, or check here if you would like emails from the county. That way, if they don't feel like we're invading their privacy by sending it to them, but maybe we would have better open communication contact. Sure, no, that's a great idea, Wood.
Well, they're mentioning a voter spreadsheet, so as long as we have access to that spreadsheet, we can add other columns to it.
Yeah, and I do, it is in here. It is in here, and so that voter spreadsheet, I'll show it to you in just a minute. So then they just have this, the ballot tally sheet. So this will be something that we need to work out, hash out. And then the responsibilities over here of the state delegates. And then they talk about state nominating convention, state organizing convention. And so we will need to have something like this for obviously the county delegates. They don't have anything up here. So we need to put something together for the county delegates. Anybody volunteering? Rough draft?
I can put that together.
Nobody's jumping up at the same. Not everybody's jumping at the same time.
I've been in bylaws enough. That should just be.
Yeah, I mean,
restated bylaws.
It's all pretty standard stuff. Pretty standard stuff format.
Our county delegates are going to have a pretty good job this year because we have 2 open legislative seats.
Right.
And
Two open seats, one race right now is contested at least.
We have a county council seat.
For how, we have a council seat, where Greg Merrill is stepping down from the council to run, for House 4. So there'll be a council seat open. House 4 has two candidates for it right now, that I know of. 5 doesn't, they don't have, Casey didn't have any competition right now that I know of. Anyway, so this has the precinct officer's duties, chair, vice chair, secretary, all that good stuff. And it does talk about in the rules and everything like that for us to hand out, that when whether they're new or they get reelected, for them to hand out they're supposed to get something that tells them what their duties and responsibilities are. And so that's actually in the state party bylaws and the state party convention, our constitution, for them to get that. So then we have, this is the door sign info right here. And then it is all that is.
Hey, Chris, just one.
Yes, sir.
Back up 1 second on the precinct, or was it the checklist, not the checklist for the chair?
Yes, sir.
Right at the bottom, for the vice chair and for the secretary and treasurer, in our bylaws, we've got it so that they have to attend the central committee meeting too. You know, it doesn't say that on 3 and 4. I mean, that may be something we want to address.
That's true, you're right. As I do know, that was put in where secretaries and treasurers do attend. So you're right about that. I'm glad you caught that. I've read through all of these documents or whatever, but I will tell you right now, it's been really late at night. Some of you knew. When I sent the email with the link, I think it was after 11:30, close to midnight. I sent that thing. This is the precinct officer's duties.
Chris, this is just maybe an idea, but the state party didn't want to print this stuff.
Right.
The county party probably doesn't need to either. If the ledge chairs will make sure each caucus chair or each precinct chair goes here and prints out what needs to be printed from the state. We could add to that whatever the county needs to add to it.
Right. And I think there's only a few things, and you'll see this as we get through. That's a good idea. You'll see as we get through here.
That way it's not a big burden on anybody. Each
Right.
precinct prints their own stuff.
So there's actually a checklist right here. The things to do before caucus night: attend the caucus training in your county, or thoroughly review the Utah GOP online training. Become familiar with the materials provided in the caucus packet. Which I don't know when we're getting those packets. They didn't talk about that at State Central Committee.
Well, I think what I'm hearing you say is this is the packet.
It is. You're right.
E-packet.
Yeah, some of these things I'm not sure as I was reading through here. So they can contact us. So this is a checklist. So what I'll do is I'll pull some of these things out that we think need to go like immediately to the chair, like caucus rules, things like that. Probably this stuff right here, or we can just send it all to them because they can just go to this link and look it up themselves, right?
And if they want to print it out, they can print it out for their precinct.
So, and it tells them what they need to do after caucus. And so, Lad said he's buying pizza for everybody. We'll be meeting over here counting votes and ballots and stuff like that. So LW Miller's buying pizza, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. They're buying a table?
Unless you want steak.
What's that?
Unless you want steak.
Sure, man. Hey, we want steak. We can do that.
Plan on it. Come hungry.
So there's a precinct there. There's a host guide right here. This is for the chair or for the host, whoever it ends up being. Welcome, the attendee card, qualify that. Attendance roll, prayer, whole 9 yards pledge. It kind of goes through. It's their agenda, just kind of broken down here a lot more. So That's the host guide right there. Then there's the rules, and this is the form right here. Okay. So this is a view only. So it actually won't let us do it. So I actually copied this and put it onto a different doc that I can share out with everybody.
If you just do save as, it'll allow you to edit.
That's true. Yeah. So then anyway, and I've already shared this with Des. So she already has this particular one right here. So we'll share this out with everybody.
So like on this, if we did the save as, we could add in text and email
Even
column.
if you just click on that blue box, there's like a drop-down menu. It says, oh, never mind, sorry.
Yeah, I
No,
tried.
that's the way. So you just saved it to your drive.
Yeah, so I saved it to my drive, and then you can download it. You can, because we're going to probably need to do this as an Excel sheet, because not everybody uses Google Drive. Not everybody has
Or
access
we
to
can
it.
email it to them.
We've got some precinct chairs that are still using AOL emails. So we'll just download it as an Excel file. Everybody has access to that.
Right there.
So Chris,
Send it out that way.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
sorry, so then would the intent be to get this, so
Yeah.
we'd have to have a laptop or something to run
Yes.
the registration process and everything?
Right. And I know that that's what we had over at North Logan 6. 2 years ago, that's what we had. And that's, we're supposed to be getting like Wi-Fi passcodes or passwords and all that stuff, from all the schools, from all the locations that we're, how do we get on there? How do we access their Wi-Fi? They're supposed to be giving all that stuff, information to us. So if they don't, let me know. I'll have Lee send them a letter. So.
You're gonna have some precincts that won't have, Cornish meets in their town hall and I
Yeah.
think they're gonna have anything
Right.
wireless wise.
But like up there,
Your mobile hotspot.
yeah.
I don't have that much data on my phone.
So
So-
did you let people like type their own stuff in, or did you have someone sit and type them in? and say-
We actually had people. We had somebody sitting and typing it at North Logan 6. We had like when I walked in, I think they had like they had like a half dozen, like 6 or 8 laptops. Like they had people. When we walked in, they had of course, the line stretched outside the building, and half the people were in the wrong line. I had to get out and go around the other side of the building, whatever. But and that's where the TARs can come in and help out, help get people around. But they had a laptop right there. You showed your ID. They found you on the list. Checked it off. Boom, you're good. And we wrote our information down. They credentialed us, whatever. And then you just go down the line. They had like an assembly line of people. They had it was probably at least half a dozen laptops all set up. And they were just going right down the line doing things. They had a couple of people registered. They had people that were already they had a line for people that were already registered. They could go into this line. People that needed to register that night, they went to another line. And they just kind of moved them through that way. So it was actually not too bad. We just, if we had a little bit bigger space than where we were at, it probably would have been a little bit better. It wouldn't have been so cramped. 'Cause we were like everybody else, we were busting at the seams that night. So that's that right there. And then, so the other thing here that I want to talk about is allocation. Holy smokes, I didn't see that. We're up at the top, okay? We went from 188 ballots, 188 delegates to 179.
So we lost one delegate.
So,
We lost one delegate.
188 to 179.
Oh, so we lost 11.
Yeah. So with that, we've got to take out. So I talked to. I've got a spreadsheet that they used. Some of you may know Danny Brownell. Some of you may know him. But anyway, there was a spreadsheet that they used that when the last time they had to make an adjustment here. Last time they went from, I think they actually went up and now we're going down. But there's a formula and a spreadsheet so we can do allocation throughout the county. They've shared that with me. I haven't had a chance to really, I tried to dive into it this afternoon in between work and the meeting, but didn't have enough time to get into it. So I know that we currently have some precincts that, in fact, I can pull up our last.
Hold on, that's, yeah, attendance.
Oh, here we go. Anyway, I have a spreadsheet, you know, and it has our, I swear I had. I got some of these things tabs with me. Okay. Okay, so this is from, I think this is the state allocation, okay, broken down, and then we will get, Joe Zollinger has the numbers that we need. The question I wanted to bring up and ask, we have some precincts that have 0 delegates. We have Logan 33 and a half, which is kind of weird, but we have Logan 33 and a half that they're actually, like, they're separate precincts, but they're combined for a state delegate. And so they have one state delegate that represents.
Those, the county clerk separates those because of unincorporated areas
Right.
of the county and incorporated areas. Because when they're doing a municipal election, the unincorporated areas don't vote for the city council.
Right, right. And so, because I know we have the same thing, there's pockets when you look at the map.
Or partisan elections, though, that shouldn't be a factor.
Yeah, so there's pockets of it when you look at the map. The map can be found.
I live in 33.
Oh, you do?
The problem is because 33 and a half is part of Legis District 5, if I remember right, and 33 is part of Legis District 4.
Oh, when the legislature.
So it was gerrymandering basically.
Yeah, it's split that. It's split because of
And
the
so
legislature.
for state delegates, they are separate, but for county, they can. That's the deal with 33 and 33 and a half.
Oh, okay.
Right.
And so in past years, at the beginning, they can have separate county delegates or vote to have just combined county delegates. And every time they just say, let's just put together.
Yeah, these are the loaded precincts.
Yeah.
There's 33 and a half right here. There's 33 right there.
That orange is 33 as well.
So,
Yeah.
There's 33, what is that, L or? Wow.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
It's all that.
This is incorporated, I think, right?
No, it's all incorporated. It's all part of Logan City.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So anyway, but I know too, if you go out, like if we go back into here, we go like say to Lewiston, you know, you've got Lewiston 2, Lewiston 1, you got the U is unincorporated, so there's 3 little pockets of unincorporated out there in Lewiston, stuff like that. So what I know, like, so I know like Minden's in District 3, Minden doesn't have, you know, they don't have anybody. My thought is I'd love to, you know, one of the things that I pledge to do is get everybody involved and to give everybody a voice, and so I'd love to see everybody represented if we can, you know, somehow. But we also have a precinct, Nibley 25, that nobody showed up. They had like 3 people 2 years ago show up.
Chair, vice chair, and secretary treasurer, right?
They don't have any precinct officers. Nobody showed up at all.
Republicans voted in that precinct.
I don't know. I gotta look that up. The funny thing about that one is though, it's split that way because it's split with Millville, and so they actually. What I was told is that because I've talked to Boyd about this, I've talked to Claire about this, I've talked to Danny Brownell about this, and he said that they did this because of like hardly anybody even lives in that precinct, in that actual precinct, Nibley 25. And he said they did it, it's something that's a split with Millville's like a neighboring precinct. They're right there.
Well, the county clerk is the one that recommends those splits to the county council,
So,
split of the voting precincts.
so what Danny told me today, when I talked to Danny earlier today, what he told me was that he would like to, or what he told me is that I guess they all met together and they all decided that they wanted to be represented together. But I don't know, that was then. That was when he was, chair back in 2014 or whatever it was. So I don't know what we, I know Mark had mentioned something about this, this particular precinct that, so I don't know how we need to address that. I keep looking at Jeff and Lab because that's their.
You know what, you could probably approach the county clerk and ask them to combine those.
Yeah.
They may or may not do it, but the county council is the ones that have the authority to combine and or provide voting precincts.
Okay. Well, I'll push. I've got 3 council meetings. There's 3 council meetings before caucus night, so we'll see what we can do. But what are y'all's thoughts? What are your thoughts on? Sorry, my Southern's coming out at me. All y'all. What are all y'all's thoughts on that and how we equal representation for try to get a delegate or something like that? We do have some precincts that don't have delegates.
How many?
I think there's 3 or 4 right now. Let's see. So this is our current roster right here. And I apologize if y'all can't see. I tried to make this thing brighter. If you want to turn off the lights, I don't know. I won't fall asleep if you turn the lights off. So this is District 1 right here. I think everybody up there is pretty much represented. This is District 3 right here. Let's see, I think there's, and I'm not sure what all this is about. Like, I know Mark said that he was going to try to fill some of this in over here, a little update, but nothing ever got put in. So maybe it just got, just slipped his mind, no big deal there. But you can see here we've got a list of delegates. There's Hyde Park 2, Lewiston, Logan 17, 25. And some of these are like, I'm not sure. We've got state delegates over here, and this person actually lives in Logan.
So we have what, 84 precincts across?
86 technically, with the 33 and a half. So like Mendon right here, they got county. Mendon has a county delegate, but no state delegate. And like what I was told, if people want state delegates, they want state delegate, they want more county delegates, precinct chairs need to go out and get people to vote. They need to, because that's what it's based on. It's based on voter participation. It's based on, they do it based off of Republican strength and voter participation.
So if nobody shows to the caucus, why are we going to try and reward them with?
Right. Why reward them with a delegate if they can't get anybody to come up, show up?
There is one proviso to that statement that you made there, Chris, and that is Cache County's history is that we have awarded delegates based on ex officio status. If you are a party officer, for example, or ledge chairs, co-chairs, and or an elected official, all the county council, for example, the county legislature, or the state legislature,
right,
they all get a delegate slot by virtue of the fact that they are elected to those other positions.
Oh, so is it?
And we have 30.
Well, that's what I said, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so I don't know how many of those we have, 35 or 40 of those.
We have 35 currently.
And if you want to have your delegates elected by the neighbors, then it's possible that you could consider changing that policy, so some of those folks have to be elected by their neighbors.
Right. And that's been talked about. I talked about that with Casey and just so you guys know, I'm a rookie. I'm been in there here. Okay, Casey, Boyd, Claire, Danny, I'm Gina. I'm talking trying to soak up as much as I can, so. And so, yeah, so we have,
I agree with you, Chris. I think that each precinct should have a voting, have a voice at the state
right.
convention. The question, I guess, from a policy standpoint with respect to this issue of automatic delegates, if you will, that is, those folks are generally, like I am, as a state central committee member, I am elected as, or a auto delegate for state and county. Would I give that up? I wouldn't care. If my neighbors didn't want to elect me as a delegate because I'm a state central committee already, I would be okay with that, but that's, I don't know how everyone else thinks about it.
Right.
And I know that's an issue that, I don't know if this county's dealt with it much in the past, but some counties have dealt with that, and it's depending on how you read the state party's rules. State party's rules sort of indicate that they should be elected at the precinct, in my view.
Right, so, and this, we need to kind of clean this up a little bit, but this is our current ex officio.
Yeah, that line 28 is not up to date.
Right. I haven't updated, yeah, so, we can leave him on there and he'll start getting all the phone calls again. So, no. But, so we have 35, and the way I understand it, the way the formula works, you have to take the 35 from the 179, and then that's how many delegates we are breaking up splitting up over the county. Now I know, like, I can tell you right now, I know some state delegates in North Logan that haven't been to anything in the last 2 years. I know some delegates countywide, that haven't done anything.
Well, we can look at central committee.
Right.
It's county central committee, and county delegates are no better attending.
Right.
That, for
Yep.
sure. So, and if we've got 179 delegates minus these 35, that's 144.
Right.
across.
144 across the county. Yeah, and so that's something that I want to look at, and I know that I guess in the past they've had somebody that's kind of been in charge of that, and I don't know if there's anybody that wants to take that on, or we want to look at it together, or I can work with Nate and Joe, and we can crunch the numbers, and Mark, and we can all crunch the numbers and look at it, and then we can spit it out to you and say, here, this is what we're proposing. What do you guys think about that? Dale's like, absolutely, man.
Here's the other thing.
Here.
Here's the other thing that has happened in the past, I know. Val Potter occupies 2 ex officio spots. Barbara Tidwell has, obviously doesn't anymore, she's not
Right.
on Republican women, but we've got some of these folks that occupy 2 ex officio spots, and then the chairman has in the past appointed delegates to go in their place, and that's
Right.
in their purview. Sometimes that's been an issue where somebody from an area that's not been represented, or that doesn't have a state delegate, gets a state delegate by that mechanism.
Sure. No, that's a great point. I appreciate you bringing it up. So that's something that we'll work through there. Sorry, I'm gonna have to start closing. There we go. I lost track of where we were at. So we're through all of that. So I think what we'll do is we'll get the one of our top priorities right now is obviously I think Dale suggested this was to get the link out there to our precinct officers, especially to the chairs and the vice chairs. Get that out there, and I think that how we've cleaned everything up with when we went through this last go around, calling people and everything else and trying to get correct information, that was certainly helpful. I know I appreciate everybody's effort on that. I know that we've got a couple, and we had some other people like Natalie jumped in and helped out, helped Lee out, stuff like that. And that's what we need to be. That's what we're here for.
Thanks.
Here to help each other out, and should be here to help each other out, and in any way we can. So that being said, we'll get the link. I'll get it to Des. I'll have her send it out. Now, the thing about these training meetings, and Mark and I talked about this, is different. This is not a central committee meeting, so Mark and I are of the mindset that we don't have to follow the 20-day rule, 20-day notice rule, because these are trainings. These are not official meetings. We're not going to be conducting any kind of official business at these meetings. This is strictly training, okay? And so what we'll do is so I'll work on that, and we'll get that out, get the word out to everybody. We'll just send it out to everybody, y'all included. Everybody will get that, and then we'll. So I think the idea was maybe the 15th and the 10th. Is that right? And we throw the first out because it's 2 dates. We historically haven't had a lot of attendance, based on what Nate said and what a couple other people chimed in and said. I certainly don't want to be dragging us all over the county, trying to do something for 10 people,
Right, so on that note, if you can't get it out tonight, or if you can't get that information to everybody tonight or tomorrow, then the 15th is too short.
Right. And so I'm actually going to go home. Des is, hopefully she's okay. I haven't heard from her. Hopefully she's home resting. She texted me and said she's on her way to Instacare. She's getting sicker by the minute. I didn't know they had Instacare in Avalon, or Avon. Avon.
Nice.
Avon. Avalon. I don't know where I got that from. Anyway, I just told her to go see the medical cannabis doctor. So, anyway, so I'll get that out tonight. Okay, I'll make sure that goes out tonight. I'll send that link out. And I'll send it out to everybody. We have a list. I have access to MailChimp, and we'll get that done tonight. Anybody have anything else that you want to bring up or needs to be brought up before we adjourn? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Yeah.
Well, meeting adjourned.
Yeah, well, just-